Hello everyone and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I hope you're all feeling fantastic, because today's story is the kind that sends shockwaves through timelines and keeps group chats buzzing late into the night. We're diving into the unexpected unveiling of a secret romance, the long-rumored, finally confirmed connection between Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda. Yes, that Gökberk and that Cemre. After months, even years, of carefully guarded silence, they've stepped into the light with details that have left fans stunned and, let's be honest, completely fascinated. If you adore these two or you just live for the stories that shake up the scene, lean in. This one has every ingredient of a headline-making reveal, and we've pieced together the timeline, the whispers, and the moments that now make perfect sense. From the first seconds this news hit, it felt like a detonation in the entertainment world. A revelation that made even the most casual observer stop scrolling. Gökberk and a partner in the public eye had kept things impossibly discreet for a very long time, and then, suddenly, the door swung open. It wasn't just confirmation, it was a flood of intimate hints, personal reflections, and acknowledgments of a bond that had been quietly growing behind the curtain. For anyone who follows Turkish Spotlight Secrets for exclusives and those delicate little details that make a story irresistible, this is one of those rare moments when everything arrives at once, the truth, the backstory, and the emotional core. Of course, none of this sprang from nowhere. The speculation surrounding them has been simmering for ages. We've all seen those glances at premieres that seem to linger a second too long, the casual mentions in interviews that felt just a little too carefully contained, the strategic distances at public events that almost drew attention precisely because they were so precisely maintained. Why such privacy? Why nurture a love away from the noise? That difficult question has hovered around them for a while, and the answer, bit by bit, is beginning to surface through context and confession. To grasp how big this reveal is, it helps to rewind and look at both sides. On one hand, Gökberk Yıldırım, admired for his discipline and for the quiet intensity he brings to his roles. On the other, Cemre Arda, an artist who radiates poise and keeps a protective circle around her private life. The combination of their profiles, widely beloved yet deeply reserved, made any hint of a bond instantly intriguing. And now, at last, we're hearing the connective tissue. How a simple collaboration morphed into mutual dependence, how off-screen conversations became a shelter from the relentless pace of their careers. What's truly surprising is discovering just how long this romance has been growing. The story emerging from those close to them suggests something far from sudden. We're talking about a connection that took shape patiently and quietly, nourished by shared moments that took place outside the gaze of cameras. There are mentions of low-key weekends, check-ins during late-night rehearsals, and short, subtle vacations where they chose scenic corners and quiet roads over trendy hotspots. Observant fans had noticed patterns, overlapping travel windows, similar city snapshots, a stray lyric in a caption, but until now, it was all inference. The reveal has transformed those theories into a coherent path. What leaves many in awe is how deftly they shielded this relationship in a world where even routine errands can turn into headlines. They embraced misdirection without malice. They arrived separately, left separately, peeled off into different cars, used different doors. And yet, people who cross their paths say the empathy between them is unmistakable. Nothing showy, nothing staged, just an unspoken understanding that flickers when they think no one is charting their faces. Did they rely on a professional team to guard their privacy? If they did, it was minimal, because most of the strategy seems to have come from their own discipline and a tight inner circle that understands loyalty. The origin story fascinates everyone. Accounts point to a meeting that wasn't meant to be a beginning, a creative workshop in Cappadocia, where both were invited as mentors. It started with craft, notes on rhythm and silence, conversations about character and honesty in performance. Then the practical blurs into the personal. They started sending each other songs. They compared the sonics of rain in different cities. A feeling grew that neither of them tried to name. Early talk framed them as close friends, a safe label that gave them cover, but people who've seen them together insist there was always more. The spark was there, not loud and flashy, but persistent, the kind that keeps humming when the room goes quiet. Now that the truth is out, all those small stories feel freshly illuminated. Every candid photo that once looked like a coincidence demands a second look. Posts with parallel sunsets. Language about balance and belonging appearing on both their feeds within days of each other. A necklace seen in 2 frames months apart. None of it proof on its own, together, a map. The intimate details now floating through the conversation aren't scandalous or sensational in the way you might expect. They're human. They're about depth. Friends describe talks that stretch late into the night, 2 people weighing the cost of ambition, comparing the pressure points of visibility, and deciding that mutual care was worth protecting, even if it meant frustration or restraint. It said Cemre studied Gökberk during a decisive pivot in his career, reminding him that patience and direction matter more than urgency. And he, in turn, stood by her through a moment of reinvention, encouraging her to try things that scared her precisely because they mattered. These are the strands that hold, the ones fans recognize as real. And fans have reacted exactly as you'd expect in an age where every discovery travels at light speed. Feeds erupted. Most posts were tender, celebratory. People expressed relief at seeing them happy, awe that they managed to keep love private, and more than a few comments from those who claimed they always knew. There's a joy that feels collective, a communal gratitude that 2 people who have given so much of themselves on stage and screen might have found someone who understands the parts no one else sees. The career question hovers over any revelation of this scale. What changes now? Attention is intense and inescapable. That can be a challenge, but it can also be an opportunity, a chance to define the narrative rather than be defined by it. Industry watchers predict this will amplify momentum around their individual projects. Spotlight is inevitable, timing, crucial. Yet what seems most important is the freedom this brings them. They no longer have to slip through side doors or parse every interaction. The relief in that is palpable. When people can stop hiding, they can finally breathe. We're also hearing, for the first time, exactly how they navigated secrecy. There were coded calendar invites and rendezvous under the radar. Friends who lent their apartments for dinners. Family members who traveled with them not as chaperones but as shields. The word used again and again is discretion. No bravado, no games, just a firm commitment to building something in private so it could withstand being seen later. It's rare, and it worked. Which leads to the question everyone is asking. Why speak now? Is it a milestone, a marker, a decision to stop holding their breath? Some suggest a pivotal project made coordinated privacy impossible. Others say a personal promise had finally been fulfilled, and the next step required honesty. It could be as simple as this: they reached a point where hiding felt smaller than the love they were trying to protect. Whatever the reason, the effect is undeniable. Across recent appearances, you can trace breadcrumbs. The quiet pride in their eyes, the relaxed posture of people who are done pretending they're strangers. Even their posts, whether planned or purely instinctive, read differently now. A caption about home that once felt metaphorical seems literal. Matching palettes and separate photos look less like coincidence and more like shared time. And yes, the clothes. Color echoes, complementary textures, pieces that tell a story if you know what to look for. These may be small things, but they fill out the picture. If the portrait feels convincing, it's because the connection doesn't come off as a fleeting fling or a curated performance. It looks grounded. 2 people with overlapping values, compatible rhythms, and trust that has been tested by the very effort to keep a boundary. That's what resonates with fans who have watched them grow professionally over the years. It's not about perfection. It's about choosing each other through the noise. In the end, what we're witnessing is a reminder that even in an industry obsessed with access, love can still grow quietly, faithfully, in the spaces nobody expects. When a couple finally decides to tell their story on their own terms, it takes courage. It also invites us to see them anew, not as characters but as people, hearts open, hands steady, ready to walk forward in daylight. Their reveal doesn't close a chapter, it opens one. And if their past is any indication, they'll write it with care. So this has been our deep dive into the unveiling of Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda's relationship, how the secrecy held, which rumors carried truth, and why the reaction has felt so warm. We've retraced the path from careful beginnings to today's honest acknowledgement, and considered how this will shape what comes next. However you felt watching the hints accumulate, surprised, unsurprised, skeptical, hopeful. It's hard not to be moved by the tenderness at the core of their story. It's the quiet decisions that stand out, to protect what matters, to wait for the right moment, to lead with respect. Thank you for being with us for this episode of Turkish Spotlight Secrets. We truly hope you enjoyed unraveling this revelation as much as we did, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts. Did you suspect it? Was there a moment when the pieces clicked for you? What detail stood out the most now that everything is in focus? Share your takeaways in the comments, tell us which clues you spotted months ago, and let us know what you want us to explore next. If you felt the spark of this story, don't forget to support the video, send it to someone who follows these two as closely as you do, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an update. Your presence here keeps this community thriving, and we are grateful for every single one of you. Until next time, we'll be watching the timelines, reading the signs, and bringing you the stories that matter, with care, with curiosity, and with just the right touch of intrigue.